how quickly can this be done? Because the rains are not waiting. I mean, the rains are not waiting for the contractors or the contracts to be awarded and the silting to be done. How quickly can measures be put in place?
Yes. Now, yeah, we cannot overstate this fact that more often than not, people tend to disobey the town planning laws and regulations. And I think that has to be checked first, because you must respect the fact that given a land, there are places you should not erect structures on, you know, especially places that are very low-lying and very close to the river bank. So for anybody who has erected a structure there, I think it is the responsibility of such a person to relocate, because definitely you can't stop the flow of water.
But who gave him approval to construct? Someone gave an approval.
Well, if such an approval was given, then it can be considered as legal, and which can be revoked anyway, because life is at stake at this point.
Okay, staying with you, Mr. Beckley.
Yes,
government has a large role to play in all of this, but the citizens also have their own role. Do you not think that...
We have a phone call.
Okay.
Mr. Beckley, just hold on. Let's take this phone call.
All right.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Momi, please go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm calling from Delta State, from Ugale, in Ugale North Local Government area. I want to commend the presentation of the SA to the governor, and I want to make this contribution. My contribution is this: Delta State government has made meaningful impact in the area of drains in Delta State. But where the problem lies is the maintenance of those drains. I want to say that the local authorities, such as the local government, it should be their responsibility to maintain some of these drainages. It is not the state government, federal government that will come to maintain these drainages for this local authority. In fact, about 80% of our drains that have been put on ground by the Delta State government and the various local governments are not maintained. They are littered with a lot of cellophane, and therefore they don't flow. And once some of these drains don't properly flow into the existing nearby rivers, it causes flooding in the various areas. So local government should be called upon to maintain the existing facilities that are ground in their various areas. That is my contribution. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Beckley, I was saying government has its own role, but the people also have their role to play in all of this. Do you not think that an all-year-round campaign of awareness would help us a great deal? Because we all seem to wait for rainy season to come and begin to make noise about flood is coming, you all have to do this and that and the next thing. But if the campaign were constant all year round, don't you think it'll now become a part of the people?
Sadly, there is no doubt about that, and I think that is well taken. Every agency that is involved in this campaign of awareness and sensitization should do this throughout the year. We should not wait for the rains to come before sensitizing the people. But especially at the state level, for example, now nobody is new to what we are talking about. Year in, year out, we all know the reasons for this flooding. And I think that even at the local government level, the state level, should also ensure that people do the right thing. We, on our part, will continue to sensitize the nation and ensure that we do that throughout the year.
Okay.
So that people will not say they are ignorant of these issues.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Beckley. Let me bring it to you, Mr. Aniago. You are the media person, media advisor, more or less, to the state government, the state governor. What could your role be in all of this to make sure that the devastation we see when this flooding occurs is mitigated?
Thank you very much. You can only do that to the extent of mitigating it, but not 100% preventing the issue of disaster, because a number of times it's actually quite natural. But I know it's also like what I said earlier about the issue of survival. It is easier for Nkechi's mother to ask Nkechi not to go and eat in Yabo's mother's house. But for Nkechi not to go to Yabo's mother's house to eat, Nkechi's mother must make sure that there is food so that Nkechi would have eaten, in which case she does not need to go to Yabo's mother's house. These individuals, because a while ago you talked about planning, most of these areas are built, are land based on inheritance. If you know the structure of the Nigerian nation, except maybe in the mega cities, maybe where government have acquired the lands, it plays like Abuja and Lagos. But outside Abuja and Lagos, because of course this is former federal capital, and then later now Abuja, and then you have government now calling it more like a federal capital, and its plan is believed, quote and unquote, that the large portion of the land belongs to government. But in most of these other states, including the ones that are not located along the banks of the River Niger, you have land belonging to the people based on inheritance. That if I want to build a house or I want to farm in my father's land, quote and unquote, because of the land tenure system, that I don't need to go to government to say, please, I want to just build a house here, can you come and approve my plans? It is only when we begin to make progress that every land is captured, that for you to do A, B, C, of course, you know, for you to have C of O, you must go to the government. But how many of these structures have such regulation guiding their construction? That is, by the way, in terms of who gives the person's land to construct. We will, to the extent of letting individuals who live in these flood-prone areas, in the case of Delta now 17 local governments identified, to know that these are the precautionary measures to take. And the government is also very much willing, like I said earlier, we've been able to put measures in place that in the case that it happens, we don't need to go to the market to begin to look for vehicles to evacuate people. We don't need to begin to ask the one principal or one headmaster, please stop the students, let's put them here, because we have already designated areas and we have gotten what it needs to manage them. But we are continuing with the town hall sensitization process, using the traditional leaders in these different communities. We're also using the radio system to be able to also broadcast to individuals who are likely to tune to radio and also listen, and as much as possible also make use of television. Good enough. What you're also doing here is part of that sensitization, even if it came as part of your own initiative. So to a very large extent, you're also contributing to letting individuals who live in these flood-prone areas to know that this may likely happen. We are hoping that in the event that it gets to such level where it may affect the life of individuals, these remedial measures that were put in place will be able to now cash on them and then be able to mitigate the consequences.